Hello and welcome to our first episode of TI podcast. Today we have a friend, a student from Italy, Alba. Welcome, Alba, and thank you for coming for the first episode. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what do you do, and we take it from there?
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Alba and I come from Italy, more specifically in the south part, so Naples. And I've been living in Germany for almost 5 years. At the moment, I'm currently attending this master in linguistic and literary computing, and hope to finish soon. In that sense, yeah.
We hope that too.
Thank you.
So you came to Germany to study, or were you here before?
So the main idea was to have a foreign experience in another country, mainly like in my master. I always felt that it would be also like in work, also in the work field, would be also like a good experience to do, not only in the academic field, and also because Germany, I think, is one of the few countries that has very free education, so that would be like silly not to take this opportunity. And I always wanted to do like let's say an academic venture in another country, and that's one of the main reasons why I choose Germany. Yeah,
that's cool. I think most of a lot of students also come for the same reason. They just want to be abroad, try have some experience of living away, and in the same time build their careers as well. So you get bought the benefits of being away and also having a degree in the end.
That's true.
So how was it when you came? Did you have some expectations? Did you have an idea about how this would be? Did you know some people who went through the same thing?
To be honest, the only experience that I heard of was actually from my sister, because she was working here already for more than 2-3 years, and I did not have any contact with other Italians that were in Germany. I didn't know if there were groups or WhatsApp or Facebook groups and so on. But yeah, I mean, what I was expecting, because I had also other let's say exchange student experience in other countries, and I thought that in a sense they will be the same as here, in a sense that you will meet a lot of people, a lot of people from different countries, or have an idea that will be easier to socialize, which it's in some cases it's true, but it was not always like that, of course. I mean, when I came here, before entering the university, I kind of struggled to really socialize, in a sense that it has to have, you have to have a kind of context to socialize, but because common ground, right? Because if it's just about work, it's very hard to have your co-workers as your friends. But in Italy, it's much easier to socialize with people. Of course, that does not mean that you have a very steady friendship, but it's just to communicate,
you
to socialize,
and
no, I mean also even if you at least this is my experience also in my region, that you can even grab a coffee together even with people that you met just 10 minutes before. But of course it just then it ends there. It's okay, that's a good time spent with you. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's gonna be a deep friendship. It's just a way to interact. It's basic interaction.
Yeah, I think also different ways how people socialize in different countries. You also mentioned that you've been as exchange student some other countries. Where were you?
So I was in England. It was in to be more precise, is Scotland. But in that case was a very different one, because there were a lot of foreigners, so it kind of was easier for me to socialize, because everybody is a foreigner, everybody wants to know each other, different cultures and so on. So maybe in that sense I was more protected. Protected in a sense that yeah, it was a very international context. So like,
Yeah,
it's
I think you would have the same experience probably if you were in a big international city in
yeah.
Germany. It's way easier. But I also think like now being in Darmstadt, it's also not that bad. It's actually very diverse, and a lot of students. I think 30% of the population is student here in Darmstadt, so it's easy. But still, of course, the cultural differences and how you have to kind of learn new ways to do things.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I also personally think that, I mean, Darmstadt, even though it's I mean, average size town, it's very, very diverse, and I do not talk just about having international students in general, but also like the communities,
locals,
the communities that you have here. I mean, really, I hear every type of language in if you just go to Luisenplatz, really. So
the city center.
Yeah, in the city center. Yeah, right.
That's cool. Did you have to actually, like many people who come here who study, probably, do you study in English or in German?
In both of them. I had to,
so mixed.
I have to have like a C1 level in both of the.
Did you learn the language before you came?
Yeah, I mean, the idea was that I would already come here with a certain level, and but yeah, then I just did the B2 and C1, so I started from like B2, and then I got the C1 from the student colleague.
But you did till B2 before you came?
Yeah, I did until B2, yeah.
Okay, how was learning the language? Many people probably who would be watching and didn't even start, like, how was the experience of learning the language? And how did you make it?
You mean here or in my...
In, like, first in your country, because I think that's even harder since you don't really communicate with it in any other place but school. But
that is true. I mean, the beginning was kind of hard because, like, you have to start like to train your brain in a way to learn it in an efficient way and to memorize the terminologies and so on, and especially in the beginning it takes a lot of time to learn the language, especially when you don't have input from the outside. I mean, if you're in Italy, when are you gonna speak German? You're gonna speak it just during these 2 hours per week, 4 hours per week of German class. Yeah, so that was the only input that I had, and of course when you come here, I mean, it's also another story. It's like everything goes like even though you are B2 level, it's like you feel like you're still A1 in that sense, right? So it's
but
like,
what motivated you, sorry for cutting you, like what motivated you into learning? If it was hard, like why did you still do it? Like people of course would be like, I would love to study in Germany, but the language is hard. So what motivated you actually to still push through and learn the language? And were you satisfied at some point? Like when did you feel comfortable actually about the language?
So the reason why like it pushed me to learn German was also like because at the end of the day I thought it's gonna be beneficial for me, because otherwise I will feel like I have some kind of, I won't say like handicap, but in a sense I will be like it would make things harder for me to get. You know, you need to know a little bit of the language of the country where you're in, because it can help you in many different ways, even if you have a master that is just in English. So at the end of the day, the problem that it was hard didn't mean anything to me, in a sense that every language in the beginning is hard.
Okay, it's just you accepted the fact that this is part of the process.
And it's gonna get better, and that was the way.
And obviously, at some point, you get to the point where you can communicate freely. Of course.
Yeah.
You the same.
Sorry.
No. I wanted to say like it's the same for me. It was also like learning the language, and of course you have phases where you're really tired of it, and you're like, why? God, why me? And but if you push through and if you just kind of integrate it in your life, it gets easier and easier, and at some point you feel comfortable and you feel like it was worth it, of course, right?
Yeah, that is true. I really agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it doesn't matter which language you do, the beginning is always hard. Like you have to have patience, and that like learning language teaches you a lot, to be honest, about having patience, about being organized, about being like consistent.
Yeah, that's true. So let's talk a little bit about like the cultural shock when you just came here. So you know a little bit of language, you don't it's not really that enough, you feel like it's not enough for the start, but you're here now and it's already late to change your mind probably. And how was the first feelings about Germany when you just came? Because you had like we all come with expectations, I think. How was the first feeling of you actually coming here and seeing how things are?
Okay, so like when I came, especially here in Darmstadt, I thought, okay, it's true that I still have, even though I'm a B2, still I will have some problems, I know, but I was confident that if I could speak in English, they will understand me. And I found out that not all the people speak English, and I was like very terrified because especially for basic stuff like going to Rewe, in the first month, even though you learn so much vocabulary, you forget at the moment. And I was like, how do you say cheese in German? And I was like, for the first month was like me tapping on the phone and asking the person, I want this. And it was like so, like it was like for and the second month I was like very sad because I was trying very hard to remember all the basic words for food, for different type of food and so on. So I was like, oh my god, this is a bad, like I'm still struggling to talk to people.
But you managed, like you had tricks actually to show the
yeah, I mean that is survival trick, right?
That's,
so
that's
like
very smart actually.
Yeah. That is, yeah.
But still, I feel like English still helps a little, like for people probably who come in and don't know much German or are not like they don't think it's enough. Probably it could actually help you in some cases, like mostly if you're talking to students or in general people like they know a word or two. So it could be helpful at first to probably use a little bit of English, and otherwise you just use your phone, right?
Yeah, that is true. But unfortunately, in my case, especially if we talk about really like doing grocery and stuff, like for me, I mean, I didn't find some people that could really like communicate with me, so that's why. And I also noticed when I mixed up a lot the words, like when I did not remember the word in German, I would say that in English. But sometimes even that was not enough. I had I felt like very, very bad, like not knowing the words and having to struggle and having them to understand me, because also like maybe my grammatical structure, my sentence structure was not as perfect.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I thought, okay, this is my fault that I cannot commit. I mean, like I had a lot of self conflict in that sense.
Did it change like fast? Did it take time?
Yeah, I was like then more chilled and relaxed and in my mind I was like, just chill. It's your third language. Like try, just do not get anxious about it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was a little bit anxious about it.
I think also it's necessary at first, like probably not to be anxious about it, but to really try. Like as though you're doing it wrong, just try, and that will push you probably to learn more and more. And you have to practice it, and if you don't, you're not gonna move forward. What about food in general, like, or let's say because you mentioned the supermarket trying to get cheese, and I'm like, okay, why do you get cheese for, and how is it here, like eating in Germany compared to eating in Italy, which I would assume is a big difference.
I mean, I had to get used to the different taste, of course. I mean, if you think about it, even the simplest food like tomatoes in Italy, they taste different, of course, at different territory, different taste, of course. But I have to get used to a lot of stuff. So one thing that kind of like I would say not bothered me a little bit, but I had to get used to it, was the fact that there was not like a section, like a section. There is a section of breakfast, of course, but they are mostly cereals and like oatmeal and so on. And in Italy you don't have, I mean you have also cereals, of course, but you have like a whole section just of cookies, just for breakfast.
Yeah.
So there is a specific brand that does just that and gives you different type of cookies or snacks for breakfast. Or you have the typical maybe English breakfast that you have like I don't know, butter, marmalade on the toast, or maybe you have some fruits, but it's always a sweet breakfast. And here you have the salty breakfast, and for me I had to adapt to a different type of breakfast already. So I mean, especially like because when I came here I was not 18, I was like 24, 20, so I was already used to a routine in Italy. I was already used to like to the food that I was gonna eat during the day. So to change everything was like, it took me a little bit, I mean a couple of months, I guess.
Okay, but you managed in the end. Like I think it's very normal actually to struggle with the differences that you feel and how you have to actually adapt your life to the new system. So how did you actually manage, like, let's say making friends or having a routine? Like, how did you change it from coming, being new, not knowing anyone, to actually having a life here?
I mean,
And what helped you actually through that, like?
So in the first year, because I was still like kind of like every foreigner that comes is struggling to get like the necessary certificate for German. I mean, I was trying to get a routine, but like it was a very like loneliness routine in that sense. Like I had friends, of course, but they were mostly related to the school. And also that like with some I'm still in touch, but some of them it was like, okay, like we interact, it's everything fine and so on, but they already had their lives, right? So they already have their circle of friends, they already had like their own routine, because they were in Germany much longer than me, and I was there just for like, it was the first 3-4 months, so I was like, I didn't know anything. And I mean, there was nobody that would tell me, oh, you know, we can go here, I can show you this and this and that. So for me, for the first year, like I mean, I adapt in a sense that I didn't had like a routine with other people in that
like
sense.
Social life.
Yeah, social life was not very full, but it has become a little bit more full when I started to attend university, because it's, of course, university is one of the places where you can socialize a lot, right? And just in that case, I received a routine, and I got like really the routine of, you know, sometimes going out with your friends and having like a night, drinking night with your friends and so on. So things that I really missed in Italy, because I had also that kind of routine to do that. Of course, adding also like the working routine, which was something more, but it was still fine. I could manage.
That's good. It's funny you mentioned actually like how people already have their lives, and when you meet them, you kind of like you knew, and you kind of include yourself in their lives. And sometimes like with my close friends, I always wonder what they used to do actually before we got to know each other. Like how did you fill the gap of time that you spend with me now?
Yeah, that is like, I also used to think that actually, like I remember by talking also with one of my schoolmates, like I remember they were like, oh no, I'm here since 1 or 2 years and so on, and I have a boyfriend, I have a family here. So they were like already like had like a say like a good background, a good like social life in that sense, and I was like, okay, I still don't have it, but I'm trying.
Well, so you got yourself probably a TV at least to to give you some company before you.
I had my computer, was my only.
So, yeah, well, it's more effective, right? You can switch to learning and at the same time back to Netflix or wherever you're watching.
That is true. Yeah.
That's cool. So what other things that were hard for you, and how did you, like, if you think about what you moved from when you came here to this point where you are, right? Like for me, as an example, when I came here, I spent like 6 months with my aunt, and in these 6 months, like I still remember in the last month, my aunt was like, I'm really scared you're not gonna make friends, because I was I was super shy, and I wasn't really talkative. And when I look at myself right now, I feel like there was a big change in my life, like how extroverted, or probably not even extroverted, just the act that I can actually socialize. I know now how to approach people. I know how to make conversation a little bit interesting, so people will talk to me. And before I didn't have that. And if I look at it, I'm like, well, probably it's just that I pushed myself to it. Did you have anything like that you probably changed in you within this journey of studying in Germany, where you felt like, well, that did me a lot of good and like positive things to change myself to the better? Because also the experience is a little bit tough at first, and you have like a lot of problems to deal with and things to get used to. But did it change you in some positive things that you felt?
I mean, in a sense of like you mean interacting with other people, I will say maybe started to be more politically correct. In that sense, like try to be more objective about in general topics and not trying to. I mean, sometimes if you don't know like the background of it, like your personal opinion can be offensive, maybe. So I tried like to trying to be more objective as possible and not like have any biases or judge and so on. So that will already like was a good like improvement in that sense. And another thing will be that I mean, I started to be also kind of less negative about my situation or my difficulties, because when you're like in a foreign country, you think that what happens to you happens only to you, in that sense. And but by talking with other people, I thought, okay, they also have the same experience as me. They also have had the same difficulties as me, so I was kind of relieved. I mean, if you think about it, it's very easy to expect that, but when you're so focused on trying to understand where to go to do the Anmeldung, or like for the Krankenversicherung, or like even applying for university, because like that was a whole hard job for me to do, because it requires you to know where to go, with whom to speak, and nobody was telling me anything, right? So I was like always like doing some research on the computer and see what I could get, what I could not get. So like I thought that, oh my god, like I'm the only one that is doing this. But like it's not because like I want to be like dramatic or something, but when you're so self-absorbed about this stuff, you think, yeah, you don't have anybody to to do a comparison. I mean, you don't know, like that's why.
I think that's also like one of the core ideas of our podcast is actually to share stories that might be similar, because as you said, it's not like even that you are self-absorbed, it's just if you don't happen to hear someone struggling with the same thing or going through the same things, you feel like you're the only one. Like if someone got sick with some sickness and they named it to him and he doesn't know anyone who has it, they will think probably I'm the only one in the world that has it and no one knows what I'm going through. But when you hear some other people are going through this same things, it motivates you actually.
It gets easier, right?
And I think also what you said, like about you had to go through these things and now you're less negative actually, which is very interesting. Like you see how much you can actually manage and how strong you are, so you're less worried about what's coming. I think that's one of the best things that you could learn actually being abroad, is you check how strong you are, you check how hard you can actually work and how much of things you can accomplish, and then you're more positive about yourself and expectations from yourself.
I mean, like to be a little bit more self-independent, and in a sense it's not just related to be economically independent, because of course it's another story, but like to know to be more active, like in a sense to for example, if I was in Italy, like if I had some problem with the Krankenversicherung, I will ask like my parents, like, okay, how did you do it? Like it's like, because it's fast information, right? But like when you're here, you really have to understand and train yourself how to search information for yourself, to like understand where to go, and try to some information gathering, even if the people to whom you're asking this information are not Italian, of course. But like it's if you're alone, like it's most of it about you're doing it yourself, and teaches you how to be in that way independent, how to be an adult in that sense, right?
You kind of grow up in a hurry. I think it's the same. I also never really cooked when I was in home. When I came to Darmstadt, it was really like the first time when I go to the supermarket, buy the food and the uncooked food, and I have to cook it. It was terrible for the first time, like the first couple of times, but it gets better, and you learn to take care of yourself. I think.
That is true, and like that you never imagined, and doing grocery is gonna take you sometimes even 1 hour. Like in my head I was never expecting, it's gonna take maybe 20 minutes. No, that's not true. Like you're still like also trying to search for the products that you want, so that's also that.
a friend of mine told me lately that he's going to, like Monday, he's going to Aldi in Monday, like at noon or a little bit before in the morning. And I was like, why? And he said, well, it's the time of the week where it's less people.
Yeah,
and I was like, for a student to get to that point where they know actually.
That is true. And then you get the fresh fruits also.
Yeah, and it's like so self-independent that you even go to the details of the things, and you like program your life. Or like how when we walk next to, like if you're in a store that sell plates or something for home, and you find like students walking very interested in the things where like when I was home I've never entered such things, or even if I have to come in with the family or friends, I am barely interested. I just walk by, and it's kind of like you have this adult feeling that you have to buy plates for yourself, and you're interested in the towels and
that is true. I mean, in the beginning it's everything like new, that all the stuff that you never imagine that you will need that stuff, of course, but like until you are in the situation, right? Like that you basic stuff aside from towels or sheets, and also like I remember like pillows. I had a very bad pillows, and that one was like making my back like hurt a lot. And this is like a very funny story. I went to this shop where they were selling mattress and pillows, okay? And to be honest, I forgot. I mean, I kind of did a mix. I thought that pillow, you say kiss, okay, but kiss, like kissing, like is kuss, and I said, how much for a kiss? Like wie viele für ein Kuss?
Okay,
instead of kiss. And the guy looked at me like he was shocked. I was like, no, sorry, I mean pillow. Like then I said like kiss. Ich möchte ein Kiss haben, bitte. And he was like, look at me like, what's going on? So yeah, that was also very nice from the guy. But no, so for example, that was one of the many little mistakes that I did. Just that this one was like more shocking for the guy, I guess.
I think someone came to the airport, like they just arrived, and they know a little bit of German, and they had to take they had to go to where they're going, and the taxis were saying frei. And he knows frei is free, so he thought, whoa, I love this country. And he just went in and took the taxi, and when he came home, he asked it, like when he came to where he was going, asked him for money, and he was like, what money? Free. He was like, frei. He was like, okay, frei is free, but it's not really free. And he had to learn the hard way that frei doesn't mean money free, it just means space free.
Oh my god, this is a good one.
You also you study here in Darmstadt, and I think Darmstadt has a lot of diversity, like a lot of international students. How was it for you? Like, of course, I think you have international friends. How was it for you to check this difference? Because like everyone comes from different country, and you find out people do things different or believe different or whatever. Because when we're like, especially for me, since I haven't left my country till I came here, you're surrounded by the same mentality or same way of thinking or doing things, and you come here and everyone does things different. Like one has, as you mentioned, like salty breakfast, one has sweet breakfast, but also in the character and in the social codes, so to say. How was it for you, like the experience of it?
So to be honest, it was not as shocking as it sounds. In a sense, yeah, everybody has a different view of doing stuff and so on. Yeah, when it's related to food or the way that you like spend your days and so on. But there was always something in common, in a sense, like when you're a foreigner and you come in a new country, you always have an open-minded about new stuff, about
you have to, right?
Yeah, you kind of have to, because otherwise you cannot adapt. And okay, I've seen that some foreigners that for them it's hard to adapt because maybe there is so much of a difference, like also like so much of a big cultural shock in it, of course. but I've always found that the guys that the people that I met, that I spent time with, they always had an open mind about general stuff like society like. So in a sense, I didn't find it hard maybe to relate to even people that come from countries that is North Africa or that is from Asian countries and so on, because even though maybe they will do stuff their own way, like they always try to understand, they always try to understand your point of view, they always try to see to understand if like what they do is like offensive or not. It's just like trying to, you know, you kind of push the buttons and see which one works, right?
So you were surrounded kind of with open-minded people that, although they're from different countries, they were kind of like easy with how they communicate things.
I mean, most of them, yes. I mean, most of them, like, it's not like I don't say that they were not open. They were trying, like they like, because they were in the, some of them they were in the beginning as me. So, and if you come from like sometimes from an Asian country where things are totally different, you still trying to figure it out, like how it works. And sometimes maybe you had in the beginning not so much open mind about stuff, but after some time you understand, you're trying to understand, and then you have like
it's a process.
So yeah, I kind of like saw that process going on.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like one other aspect probably is how people think, like how they think about life, right? Like if you're religious or if you're not religious, if you have a different religion, that is kind of different concept of how things are. And where, like, especially for me, because I come from a country like almost mono religious, and seeing just what people think about, like, where you go when you die, or what you're trying to do this, it's kind of challenged my personal beliefs, but it pushed it kind of to like it got bigger, because I started seeing, okay, people see things different. Like I also, like, let's talk about vegans, or they also have like a different way of living that is kind of very new to me, and I'm like, okay, well, it makes sense. You try to kind of your horizon kind of gets higher, because you see how many possibilities are to live life, and probably you learn something from this one and you learn something from this one, and it helps you kind of like get better at being you, kind of. I remember one of like the differences that I had to kind of adapt to, in like if we compare Germany with Morocco, it's when people talk to you, do you look at them directly in the eye or do you look down, and which one mean, like in Morocco, especially if you respect someone, you don't look them in the eye. So this, because it's like it shows disrespect. But here it's the other way. You have to look at, if you're not looking at them, you're not listening. And these stuff now, like, of course, when I go back to Morocco, I look people in the eye because I got used to. And I feel like these small things, although like they're very small, they change you kind of in how you see things.
I understand what you mean. I mean, in that sense, like if we talk about like the small stuff, for example, in my case, you know that in Italy there is the fact that you don't greet people that okay, not like you greet friends by kissing them on the cheek. Okay, so for us it's normal contact. I mean, you're my friend, why should I not greet you like that? But I have understood that sometimes like people, for them it's too much, like it's like why you kiss me on the cheek, right? And in Italy, if you don't do that, I mean, of course there are different way of greeting, but like in Italy it will result a little bit offensive if you just push them away or say no, I don't want any physical contact with you, because it means like maybe you don't like them or something like that. So it's just a normal, like it came to me like when to me it was very automatic to do that with people. But of course I mean I understood right away. I mean, on the first day, it's not like I greeted people by kissing them on the cheek. I knew that was not their thing. But for example, from people that come from countries where this is used, I'm not sure if in Spain they're used to the
French,
to
French
also
probably.
in French I did that because I knew that I could do that with them.
Okay, so you kind of check on the situation
Yeah.
and decide how.
Yeah,
to do
because
it.
if they were used, it's not like a bad thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's.
And
what I
how do
thought.
you like normally greet people here in Germany? Because I don't know, like of course, but we all live in a bubble. Whatever we see as normal probably is not the normal. But how would you greet people in general? Like not in COVID time, of course.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah, it's like
it's all just like hi from afar and have a good day.
yeah. I mean, sometimes it depends. If I don't know the person, I kind of say hi and my name, and or maybe I shake the hand. But if I know the person, I just hug.
Okay, so hugging.
Like yeah.
I think in mostly it's hugging. I have a friend actually who came here, and in their country they kind of don't do that, and she got used to hugging. And when she went back to her country for vacation or visiting the family, she met this professor of hers, and she hugged him. And he was super weirded, like he was like, what's going on? And she realized it and was like, oh. But I also had kind of similar, talking about friends, I had similar experience where there was this girl we met, like we went to cafe and stuff, and when we said goodbye, I thought hugging is the normal thing, and she put her face ahead, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever done. It was like someone pushing their head in you.
And I no, but like for example, like for hugging, like we also do that in Italy. But it's like when you're like when you know people since long. I mean, like my good friends, I never say, yeah, I kiss them on the cheek. But when it's like such a long time they don't see them, it's like a hug. So I would say that for us, hug is more personal because it's much more physical contact. I mean, with the kiss on the cheek, it's just the cheek. It's nothing. So it goes in quantity, I guess.
Yeah. For me, it's always this like when you shake hands and do this like with most of the close friends. But of course, as you said, like if I'm traveling somewhere or something, you hug them because you just want to say a warm goodbye, kind of. You mentioned also when we were talking, like before we started filming, coffee and the difference of coffee. I was like, save it for later. We want to hear the story.
No, I mean.
So what's up with coffee?
It's not what I expected, of course. No, it's a different taste. That's it. I mean, like it. So basically, coffee like changes based on water and also which type of coffee you use, of course.
How you roast it?
How you roast it? Yeah, many things. And I used to like I'm used to this type of taste in my region. So for me, it was hard to adapt to. Well, not hard, but like you still like with everything, like you have to adapt to a different taste. Sometimes you get used to it. I mean, now I got used to it, so there is no problem. But like I still have my own brand, so like in the sense when I want to enjoy like the coffee, because I used in my region a specific brand for coffee, and then just now I just there is an Italian shop here in Darmstadt where I buy it. So.
Okay, that's great. I don't know how about other cities. But mostly, Darmstadt has a lot of foreign stores. Like even for me as a Moroccan, we have a Moroccan store just in the center, the city center, and it's really good that you can still, like of course you don't get everything, but you still can manage like the main things that everyone knows probably.
Yeah,
it makes it really easy to live.
Yeah, and then you don't use your habit of heating or like the spices maybe that you use. Like you don't have to fully like reprogram yourself to get used to new food, right? So it's good.
Yeah, that's
small
true.
stuff, but it's good. It makes. I think they make the difference.
It's especially when you kind of longing for something and you find it there and you're like, oh, that I can at least have a piece of my
that
home.
is true. I totally get you, to be honest. Yes.
I also think like with time, especially I've been here for a while in Germany, and you kind of get used. Like at home we were a tea family. I don't know like in general what people drink, but we're known for our tea like in Morocco, and we drank mostly tea. Like of course now and then you drink coffee, especially we made it with spices and stuff. So it was kind of also when you drink coffee you drink a different one. But when I came here slowly, I became such a coffee person.
Oh.
Like I totally changed, and in the cooking, of course, I didn't cook before, and I learned like one or two things from Moroccan. But mostly where I cook is not like I wouldn't call it Moroccan, and I wouldn't also not call it German. It's just like a mix of anything,
fusion,
and you kind
right?
of add this. I think it makes it better. Like, of course, you still limited on the food you can make from your own country, but you still can learn new things. Like I have a friend from Colombia who cooks biryani, which is
nice.
Asian thing, and you're like, well, in Darmstadt, since he came to Germany, he met people from that area, and they taught him how to make this dish,
Nice.
which I wouldn't say is very famous in Colombia if he stayed there.
Yeah, of course, it's a totally Pakistani like a dish. But like, have you ever done like tagine? Have you ever tried?
Yeah, after
Like, do you have it? Like,
I do have.
You have it, okay.
I do have tagine. Also, like we have endless talks about
Yeah,
tagine and
like,
how like what is tagine, and it's literally just the player,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
you can put in it whatever you put. It's still called tagine.
But really, like I once tried the meat with the tagine,
okay.
and it's so tender. I mean, the best meat ever eaten. Really was so good. I mean, it's a very beautiful way to cook food in my opinion. It takes hours, but as we say, like if it takes long, it means it's good, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much
that's the thing.
Yeah, the Moroccan food, and thank God, as I said, like there are a lot of places here where you can have these things. Like there are restaurants and stuff that offer you these foods, so you can still. But also you have Chinese, Vietnamese restaurants, like Italian pizzeria or restaurant, and you still can try. Like you kind of have a collection of everything, and you can decide what you feel like.
Yeah, what you like. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about one more point probably before we finish, and it's the fact that like we know each other since we're both in TUtor International, and probably you could tell us a little bit about TUtor International for the people who are watching to know what's that and what we do.
So I'm right now like working in two different groups that do two different events. One is called Meet and Chill, and the idea of this event is basically to meet people, to have the chance to meet people and interact with them, and also like exchange like conversation. I mean, most of the people that come to this event they come from different countries, but of course it's for everybody. It's not just for international students, also like for Germans and so on. But the main idea is just if you don't know anybody in the city, if you just want to have like a chilling time, just meeting new people and just have like conversation about whatever, like we do this kind of event, and we do this at Cafe 221 square meters, which is basically from it's a big cafe. They also do many type of different events, from music to art events, but it's a very good environment where you can really relax. So
it's in the campus.
It's in the city centers. That's right. And then there is another event in which I'm part, is like the creative evening. So basically now we're doing most online, but for sure the next semester is going to be offline. And what we do, we propose creative activities, like one for example that we did was the pumpkin carving for Halloween, or like to paint your empty marmalade jar. So it's just a way, also in this sense, you can still like meet new people, you can still interact with people from different countries, at the same time have some creative tasks to do at the moment, which I find personally very relaxing, and the result is always good. I mean, people, they especially the participants, they seem always like satisfied about these events. They are very happy, and it's a good way also to pass the weekend, like the Saturday night, I think, if you want to do something different.
I think especially for new people, as we talked about earlier, like the first phase of being here, not knowing many people, it makes it easier to go there, find friends, and of course these events, like what you do, actually it doesn't matter that much. It's just you're creating something that is fun and that is creative, and giving them the chance to actually coexist and communicate. And that's true. Really like helpful, probably like in my experience, since I haven't found about it till later on. It would have been really helpful for me to, because like otherwise you just hang out at home, you don't know many people at first, so it's really good to. But we also help with the serious stuff like studying. We have like this learning groups, and if you need someone to come with you, like especially as we talked before, people who don't know the language and you have to go to some office and you don't know how to communicate. We also help with that.
Yeah, that is true. Like there are many other extra functions to TUtor International. So what we have, like especially for people that are not EU, of course they will find maybe at the beginning hard to understand where to go and to whom to ask about their visa or extension and so on. So especially if they don't know German, they can also ask to one of the tutor in TUtor International if they can be there, can be present there, and so they can give like a real-time like translation about what is needed to do for the documentation, or if you have like you have very hard exam, we have also like this kind of like Hilfe, help, where we prepare you for this type of exams, and by doing like some like tests or like exercise, or if you do not understand some kind of topics, like of course people they help you. But there are also like not there are many type aside from this kind of help, like okay, we have this podcast of course, but there are also like many other type of events, such as like Kulturreise, in which basically they make a PowerPoint about a different country each month, and then they let you try like the food of that country. And it's very interesting because to know like the culture, the background, the cultural background of different countries from a person that lives there or that has at least like a family that lives in that country is very interesting, because we had like many different topics like Philippines, Indonesia, Pakistan, and there was like a very full participation on that. So people are curious really about to know different type of culture, I think. So you can see from the participation, true. Right?
Yeah, so we always, because I had to help in the creating the event. It's always really like a lot of people come and they're so happy to know about this country, like of course. But the also a beautiful part of it is that the people who present their countries, they give a kind of a personal experience. Like of course everyone has, or if you've heard about some country already, you have a picture about what that is. So it's always nice that these people actually present it and show you something like a personal, how their lives was. And in the end, as we said before, all of us might be different from the culture or wherever, but we all really look for the same thing. Like we want to be happy, we want to like pass our exams and have a good career. We want to have a social life, and what gathers us is like way bigger than what is different between us. So it's, if you just hold on that fact, it really makes it easy to kind of live together. And I'm glad that TUtor International is actually helping people to manage that, to get to know other people, to get to know other cultures, and to also help in the difficult with that could be like with study or office talking.
That is, I also find, like, I really agree with you about this. Like, it's a good project, I think. Like, really, it's helpful. And I mean, there are many type of activities that one can do aside from, for example, also for people that, as I also said before, like, some people, they like come here without knowing any German, right? So they kind of like, maybe there are some people that maybe, okay, they want to relax, they want to learn maybe German in a very fun way. So we have also like the event Spielerisch Deutsch, in which you like kind of learn German terms, playfully, which is also, in my opinion, also a good way to learn German, because it makes less hard. It's not like just learning the grammar and then trying to memorize it and trying to do as many exercises as possible. It's much more relaxing, it's much more funny, so it's not heavy in that sense. So there are many
people. Kind of a safe zone, because everyone is kind of going through the same thing, so you feel like it's okay if I say that wrong. Yeah,
that's true. And that is also one of the things. A lot of people, they're scared to speak another language, but not because they do not know how. They're scared to make mistakes, right?
What other people would think if I make a mistake.
I mean, they will. I also felt that, like, or they're judging me, they're judging my German. Even if I stay there, even after 1 year, I was doing still mistakes, and in my mind was like, oh my god, like after 1 year still make mistake, that's so bad.
How dare you?
Like I've been learning this language for like 1 year, maybe more, and still make mistake. But like, really, like, try, when you see that people, they have still like some little struggles in the language, and you see that you're not the only one. It's good.
It makes it easier.
It makes it easier.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's as I said, it's the same everywhere. Like if people share their stories and you find out that it's the kind of the same struggle and people are making it, like looking at you now, you're in like have a job, you're studying and you're almost done, and you got it, you made it actually through all these, and to know it's possible to make it. It's not gonna be, like you can actually make it. You can there are a lot of people who could go through it, so it's also motivation for you to go through these things.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like especially based on my background, I come from a background which is like linguistic background, but like I managed to do a master that is like does not only focus on linguistics but also on programming. So I also I kind of surprised myself because I never thought, okay, one day you will be programming and do a lot of cool stuff with natural language processing. I mean, that was the beauty of it actually. That also looking at my colleagues, like they all come from, let's say, Geisteswissenschaft background, but they managed to do pretty well in programming, and they're like now there is so much improvement. They have so much more skills, of course, after this master and so on. So yeah, I mean, if I manage to survive this, I mean, like everybody can do it. It's not like you have to be a genius about it. You just have to, be consistent and always push, even if it happens that you can fail an exam. But okay, it's not the end of the world, right? So I mean, it happened. There is no shame into it in that sense, And I mean, as long as then you're done, like really you feel like, I have something new, not only like knowledge, but like new skills for the work, and also like in a social context also. So you feel like you're kind of complete in different aspects in that sense.
Okay.
At least that's for me. But
yeah, it's kind of like a project. I always thought about it like a project. You have some cases to check, like you have some to-dos, you have some, what I have now, like when you just come, I want to have a place to stay at first, right? I want to have a job, I want to have a routine, that means friends, that means I want to have study something. So it's kind of like a project. You work, okay, to have friends, I have to probably start talking actively to people, like look for events or wherever there is, like go for a guy who wants to do sport or for a girl who wants to do look for events that create the possibility and just go there. Of course, you're not expecting to make 10 friends at first.
Of course.
Time, but you go and people get used to you, and at some point they say hi, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, living in a foreign country in general is like, of course, it's not easy. Nobody feed you with a spoon and so on. But I mean, it's part of the growing process in general, right? And one thing that is for sure, I mean, at least for me, when I come back to Italy, of course, I miss my country, of course. But at the same time, I feel like this is not my routine anymore. This is not my life anymore. And I kind of miss the life here, right? Even if I'm there just for 2 weeks, I kind of like miss to do the stuff that I use here. So that means like in a sense that I feel like that you are integrated in that sense. If you have like a routine and you are integrated in general in the society in that sense.
People talk of this so-called reverse shock. And it's like after you have a cultural shock and by moving to a new place, when you're going back, you kind of got used to things in some way, in a new way. Now it's back to the old, and you're like, oh, well, it always happens to me. Like if I haven't been home for a while, when you go back, you have to get used. Like just the fact that I hear people talking my language the whole time feels at first like weird to me. I'm expecting German or
like it's too
English,
easy, right? Like no, it's too
oh
easy,
my God, I'm understanding every single word. That's so true. But would you recommend this to people? Coming, like studying abroad, probably in general, or even studying in Germany?
Of course, because like really it changes so much in a short period of time, really. So it teaches you so much stuff, how much you can adapt in a short period of time, or much you can, let's say, be fast and quick in also like gather information for documentation that you need, because of course like you cannot be chilled when you come in another country.
Especially Germany.
You have like you cannot relax, especially if you especially for the bureaucratic part. You need really to concentrate and do everything perfectly, otherwise then it's just more time, you lose time, right? So that is the way, but it sounds in the beginning like very stressful, but then you get used to it, right? So really it teaches you so much about yourself, about how you can be independent, about how you can relate to people, about also other people. Doesn't matter if they are from another country or they're German. It teaches really how to interact too. I mean, it changes you forever. I mean, especially if you're for a long period, after 1 or 2 years, it really changes you forever. And you still like with it, because especially if you're young, you're still like then growing, right? So even like maybe you're there at 20, but at 23 you're another person, at 26 you're another person, at 30 you're another person. So also like the age is also like influencing that. So yeah, I mean, really recommend it. Of course, as I said, it's not easy at the beginning. Yeah, it's not easy at the beginning, but everybody can get used to it,
and it is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have like can I say, you don't have to be blessed to get used to a life in another country. Everybody can do it. It's basic survival instincts in the beginning, right?
Especially if someone like really looking. There are things like TUtor International. I think every city or university should have something such that includes people, for new people to come and hang out and do something. If someone, or even online, I think there are a lot of groups in Facebook or something that do things together. And if someone is just active a little bit, at least at first, before you kind of develop a taste for friends, how they should be, you can get actually a platform where you can meet people. And the language, of course, if you just push through and practice, you
that is true. I mean, sorry for interrupting you, but really like it's TUtor International is like a good bridge to start, right? So unfortunately I didn't know TUtor International like so soon as I got into university, but then I got the chance to you know to know it. But if you know TUtor International from the beginning, it's also good, because it's a good help. The transition is not, I mean, the transition to start to get used to another country, to the life of another country, is not as rough when you're alone, I think. So it's a very great help in that sense.
When I just came to Germany, I used BlaBlaCar to travel. Like, this is where you pay someone who's driving to the same place with their car, and you just drive with them, and it's called, I think, BlaBlaCar, because it's about socializing and not just going alone. And I still remember, like, that was my first conversation with a German, and I was pushed into, and I was feeling so proud about myself, like, that he understood me. Of course, I didn't understand a lot of what he said, but it was so nice to feel, like, if you just create these options where, like, these situations where you are in, like, if you go to the supermarket, try to ask where the Nutella is, although you know probably. Just practice, just say words. Here.
That is true. That is true. Like also some friends of mine like try to ask information, even though if you know it, like just to have conversation. That is one.
A friend said when they came to Germany, they found about these, these people in the city center or somewhere where they come and they ask you to donate money for some group. He said, I used to go to them, like, mostly it's famous that people try to avoid them because they want to feel like a bad person, but he used to go to them and just to talk, just to practice, because they love talking, apparently.
I know this one too. Like some friends of mine, they tried that. That was like, that is like the very beginning when you want to talk to people for the language.
That's one. They're very disappointed in the end.
No, but I mean, that's always, that's how you start, right? Then it gets easier.
Yes, great. Well, thanks a lot for being here, and thanks a lot for telling us your story, and we hope to see you probably soon again to the second part.
But thank you for having me, for the very interesting conversation. Thank you for like everything. And,
it was all you. Thanks also for watching, and if you like or subscribe, and we hope to see you soon with another person and another story.